today, y'all, we gonna package up a big order. Hey guys, welcome in or welcome back. It's your girl Shai, aka Miss Shaigirl Inc. herself, and I am back with another video. So from the title, y'all can tell this video is gonna be a little emotional. Hopefully I don't cry. I said I was going to get through this without crying, but depression and anxiety is a really touchy topic or subject for me. So I'm gonna stop rambling. We're gonna just jump right into this video, okay? All right, so I realized that I had depression when I want to say I was about 22, a little before I had Koi, and I think it was more so the fact of like I felt like I was alone. I was pregnant. I was young. I just got into my prime of my 20s, and now in a way I felt like my life was over. I did suffer from postpartum, and so after having Koi for a while, I mean, it wasn't as bad as like how they make it seem in the movies where you don't do nothing with your child and stuff like that. I did not have harmful thoughts to kind of clear that air before it gets there. Anyone's like, well, did you think of killing him? No. So I did not have harmful thoughts to him, but I did have harmful thoughts towards myself. I did think of killing myself a few times when I felt like it got too much and too hard, and I felt like I couldn't do it. His dad didn't really help for a while, so that kind of was like the thing too, and he kept telling me before I even found out I was pregnant that I was pregnant. Me, I never wanted kids. I never wanted kids, and I have 2 kids now, and I never wanted kids. I love my kids to death though, but I never wanted kids. I was supposed to be the auntie with no kids, living my best life, but God said, we're gonna give you the kids. So my depression, I feel everybody's situation is different. I did start to feel like, you know, once I had a kid, that people kind of forgot about me completely as a person, and that everything was just me, Koi, you and Koi, or your kid. So it's like once you have kids in a lot of black families, which I think is terrible, it's like your family forgets about you, and then their focus becomes just the kid. So no one calls you to check on you and see how you're doing. It's always what the baby doing or what the kid's doing. If they hear them in the background, like Emery cries a lot, so people hear Emery in the background when they call, why he crying? I'm not in his head. I don't know why he's crying. Honestly, he's crying for nothing, because a lot of times Emery would be fed, changed, we would play with him, and then, you know, people want to do their own thing, and he just will sit there and stare at you and cry. So a lot of the times it's more so like people kind of just being nosy, but not really nosy in a good sense. So once I had Koi, I felt forgotten just a little bit. You know, I did have family members that would call me to check on me and see how I was doing, but I feel like the family members that really mattered didn't, if that makes any sense. Like they forgot about me as a person completely. And a lot of the times I would just like not want to do anything, not want to take him anywhere. But I was in denial of the fact that I had depression for a while, because in black families, as a lot of us know, if you tell a black parent that you have some type of like mental disability, or not really disability, but you feel depressed or you feel anxious all the time, they kind of just brush it off as you wanting attention, which a lot of the times is not the case. A lot of the times, I feel like in some smaller kids that is the case. If you have more than one small child, as they get older, I do feel that the one kid who feels like they get less attention than their other siblings do start to kind of develop a depression towards that, because it's like, you know, the love can be shared equally. And I try to do that, because even though my kids are like 5 years apart, I definitely try to distribute my love and attention to them evenly, so that neither one of them ever feels like I love anyone less. But a lot of black parents don't want to acknowledge that their kids are depressed, or well, basically that their kids are depressed. You tell a black parent you're depressed, and it's ain't nothing wrong with you, you just want attention. No, talk to your kid. Like, literally talk to your kids. I feel like a lot of black parents don't spend enough time talking to their kids just to get to know their kids. As a parent, you do not know everything. You cannot tell your child that they don't feel what they feel because you're not in their body to understand why they feel how they feel or know what they are feeling. I don't like that either. I always hated when I said I felt something and my mom would be like, ain't nothing wrong with you. You don't know that. You not in my body. Like, you don't know what I'm feeling. You just going based off of what I'm telling you, but you're not listening to me. You get it? And I feel like that's why a lot of, God rest their souls, but a lot of black children have committed suicide from that, aside from bullying, which is another thing. If your child is telling you they're being bullied, talk to your kids, but also get to the bottom of it, because a lot of times that bullying never stops, and it bubbles over into adulthood. And because they never were taught how to deal with a bully as a kid, they kind of get bullied as adults. And adults commit suicide too for reasons like that. So just talk to your kids. Like, don't, if you're a black parent, white parent, don't matter. If you're a parent in general and your kid tells you they feel something, just talk to your kids. Try to understand what's going on with your kids, and don't think just because you're the parent that you are always right and you know everything, because that's not the case. We are all different people. Everybody feels differently. So yeah, after a while I kind of got over it. Not really got over it, but being as though I am from a black household, I kind of just pushed it to the back of my head and was just like, nothing is wrong with me. It did affect a lot of relationships, a lot of friendships, a lot of my personality, because out of fear of not really wanting to tell people how I'm really feeling, I kind of just would say yes to everything or go along with stuff knowing I really didn't want to go anywhere, didn't really want to do anything. I would do it anyway. A lot of times you sacrifice your feelings, especially when you're a parent and a mother, because we are with our kids almost 24/7 unless we work a full-time job, which I do. And I would kind of sacrifice me not really wanting to be around people and outside because my kid wanted to go out, or, you know, people invited him to parties and stuff. So if my sister wasn't going, I would take him. But if my sister was going, that kind of gave me an excuse not to really go, because my sister kind of can do the kid thing. Me personally, I don't like to be around other people's kids. I just don't. But as a parent, as a mom, you kind of can't do that. You have to sacrifice a lot, which a lot. Like, you just have to sacrifice a lot. There's just no getting around it. As a mom, you have to basically sacrifice your whole life, which is true. When you become a parent, you kind of do, well, mom, you do put yourself on the back burner, like the very, very far back burner, if you don't have that immediate hands-on support. Now, you can just have support and not have hands-on support. Like, what I mean support is, like, you know, you tell your parents you're pregnant and they're, I'm for whatever you're for, whatever you decide to do, I'm gonna back you 100%. And then you have that hands-on support where if times get really, really hard and your parents understand what you're going through and they take the time to talk to you, and you kind of get to the point where you're like, I need a break, they'll take your kids for more than like maybe a day, more than like an hour. A lot of the time moms develop depression because they don't get breaks. Personally, I feel like we always need breaks. Koi, I happen to get breaks from Koi a whole lot, and I'm really grateful for it, because Koi goes to his dad's family in the summertime. So a lot of the times I don't have Koi in the summer. Or when we did live in Pennsylvania, my sister, once my sister got her own place, she would take Koi. Even when she lived with my mom, she would be like, bring my nephew to me or whatever. Koi and my sister are like best friends. Koi and my mom are like best friends. And he just enjoys going with them. Emery is a little bit different. He's also still a baby. A lot of people don't really want to take babies when they have to do things for them, like feed them, change them. Like, my sister takes babies once they start walking. She doesn't like carrying babies. She don't do strollers. The most she'll do is a car seat. So once they start walking, my sister would be like, well, you know, bring me my nephew and stuff like that. So, but a lot of people, sorry y'all, my nose ring keep coming out. A lot of people don't really deal with babies. As a mom, as a single mom, raising 2 sons alone, I think it is really important that single moms get breaks. Even if you're like her best friend or a family member, just take the time out of your day and just call her. You know, you don't have to hold a whole conversation. You don't kind of got to really be in her business. A simple how are you feeling means a lot to a single mom who is literally just doing everything by herself. literally doing everything by herself. Which brings us back to hands-on support. Those that have hands-on support, like a dad, a living dad, or you know, you still live with your parents and your parents are very more so helicopter parents and they kind of let you raise your kids, but at the same time they step in all the time, be very grateful for that. Very, very grateful for that, because doing it completely alone is hard. It's really hard, really, really hard. Especially when you're doing everything, you're nurturing, you're financially supporting, you're just every aspect of being a parent you are doing by yourself. It's hard. My depression got really, really bad last year. Well, actually it got really, really bad around the time I found out I was pregnant with Emery. My anxiety, I've always had anxiety, which is crazy. I don't like to be around people I don't know. My anxiety is really weird. It's like, I think called social anxiety is what I've been calling it. I believe that's the term. But I don't like to be out in a social setting with people I don't know. And if I go to a social setting with people that I do know, please do not leave me anywhere by myself. I literally have panic attacks. And I'm so good at masking my attacks that I'll literally just be sitting there and I'll probably be on my phone, or my face will just look like I'm over it and I'll just look so mean. But a lot of times it's me freaking out on the inside because the person that I came here with just walked off to God knows what, talking to people, and left me here by myself. For all of this, I could have stayed home. So I've always been against medication because I had friends who had like depression, bipolar and stuff growing up, and their medication would kind of have them like more zombie like, and I didn't want that. Especially having small children, I did not want that. So sorry. So I would lie on, you know, like the papers when you go to the doctor and they ask you, do you suffer from depression? I would always say no. My mom kind of, when I lived with my mom when Koi was 1, my mom said she kind of picked up on the fact that I did have postpartum, but she was waiting for me to say something. Again, I wasn't going to say anything because at one point I did feel like everything that I told my mom, she kind of just brushed it off as me wanting attention, and that wasn't the case, especially once I had Koi. So I'm trying to get it out without rambling, but also in a way to where I won't get too emotional. So after, like with Koi, it wasn't as bad as I would say with Emery. It did get to the point where once I did move out into our second apartment together, me and Koi's second apartment, that it did get really, really bad to the point where I would lay in my bed on my off days. Like if I wasn't at work, I would lay in my bed on my off days. My house would get my house would get so dirty that, you know, people would come and they wouldn't say anything. And I feel like a lot of the times, because of my mouth and my attitude, people wouldn't say anything out of fear of like, or maybe not really wanting to hear my mouth. But it was like, if you know me, you knew that I wasn't like this and my house was never like this, or I've never been that type of person. I feel like as a friend they should have asked, or kind of like, you know, mainly just asked. Like I feel like a lot of people don't really pay attention to the signs. Like they claim they know their friends and know their family members, but don't really pay attention to the signs of depression. My depression signs really, literally, and they are so disgusting now that I think back on them, are my house would get dirty, really dirty, disgusting dirty, to where you could, I would not have like massive garbage around, but it would just smell like I have garbage around. It got to the point where at most points I would not take a shower. Koi would always be clean. Koi would take his baths, but I would not take a shower. I would literally lay in my bed from sun up to sundown. If I was off, I would get up to make him food, put him in the shower. That's probably about it. And my so-called friend at the time didn't pay attention to that. And it got really, really bad, really heated, to the point where we got into like a thing, kind of like a back and forth on Facebook, and she kind of brought that up, and then I lost it. But it was like, if you were supposed to be my friend and you normally come to my house, and my house has never been like this, as a friend I would have then been like, you know, is everything okay? This is like the 4th or 5th time I've come here, or the 2nd or 3rd time I've come here, and your house is a mess. Do you need help cleaning it? Like, what's going on? But this particular friend didn't do that. Instead, she would just go back to whoever and most likely talk crap about me, my house, and all this other stuff. But that's when I noticed it started to get bad, slowly. Again, it got really, really bad once I had Emery. Now, keep in mind, again, I say I did not want kids. Once I had Koi, I was one and done. And I did get to a point in my life where I stopped taking birth control because I was single. I'm still single. By choice, of course. But after having Koi, I was single. And I was single for a while. Around the time I had Emery, I ain't gonna even lie to y'all, I had a hot girl summer. I had me a hot girl summer and he caught me. I got caught. So I feel like a lot of me going deeper into my depression recently was because, one, I felt like I had just came out of the struggle box that I called it, like financially, mentally, physically, all that. I was struggling when I first had Koi, and I had just gotten to a point where I was out of that box and we were now doing okay, mainly financially. A lot of my depression stems from financial issues, so if I feel like I can't support me and my son, well, me and my kids, I kind of sink down and like lose it. But in the same time, it's in the same sense of me losing it, I'm also trying to game plan how to fix it. And if I feel like I can't fix it, it doesn't really end too well for me. So, you know, I was kind of just getting out of my funk, I would say, and I felt like I was handling my depression, no medication involved, and boom, I got pregnant again. A lot of it was his dad knew I didn't want any more kids, and he was giving me all this false hope of I'm gonna be there, I take care of my kids, blah 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 blah. I had Emery and I'm basically back to square one of the whole situation I was in with Koi's dad, where I'm doing everything by myself. So it got to the point where I was still, you know, the little questionnaire they give you after you have the kid from your first doctor's appointment. How do you feel? Do you feel like you're suffering from depression, anxiety? I would lie and say no. But a lot of that had to do with the doctors that I had at the time. The doctor that I had, she didn't really take time to sit and listen and talk to you. She would just be like, if you told her something, she would just be like, well, you should try this and just do this, and that's that. She never really tried to get to the root of why I kept saying if I ever felt depressed, I'm not taking medication. She never asked me that. So we fast forward a little bit to, I want to say Emery's about 6 or 7 months, and we switched doctors. This doctor is amazing. I love her. She's in Pennsylvania, and I'm going probably still drive to Pennsylvania to see her because I just loved her for all of us. She listened to all my concerns with Emery, all of my concerns with Koi regarding his asthma, whereas the other doctor kind of just kept brushing it off. Oh, he doesn't have asthma, he doesn't have asthma. But it would get to the point where I'm taking my son to the hospital at least once a month to be put on a nebulizer because he can't breathe and he's struggling to breathe from doing regular childlike activities. So this new doctor, I love her. Dr. Nguyen, if you happen to stumble upon this, again, I love you. She took the time to listen to all of my concerns regarding my children, to the point where Koi now has an inhaler that gets refilled, as opposed to he has an attack, I take him to the hospital, they give him an inhaler, once that's done, that's it. I have to now wait for him to have another attack. He now has an inhaler, which when that runs out, we go get him a refill. They're in the process of getting him a nebulizer. She listened, and I like that. My concerns with Emery was the overeating because he's always hungry. I felt like he was, you know, taking a little longer to kind of crawl and walk and start to like kind of make noises to where it sounds like he's talking. She kind of addressed my concerns with that. He's perfectly fine now. He curses everybody out. He's yelling at you, screaming at you, and he's now starting to walk. Then we talked about me. So she gave me the questionnaire of the depression and anxiety questions, and she walked out the room for me to answer them. Now, that literally made me feel kind of good, but then I kind of, before answering the questions, I literally sat there to myself and was like, are we gonna keep lying and dealing with this silently to the point where it's gonna become bad and you may possibly start to really consider taking your life? Or are you gonna answer these questions truthfully and see what kind of help she can offer you? So I answered the questions truthfully, and when she came back in, she read over my answers, and then it was like on a dry erase little paper, so she kind of erased them so no one would see them, and we talked about it. I explained to her that I never ever wanted to be medicated, because when I have small children and I wanted to at least attempt to do things with them without feeling like I'm not there mentally. But also, me being in the state that I was in mentally, I wanted to do nothing with them. My mom wasn't like that with us. We did a lot of things, small children or not. I didn't want that for my kids. So me deciding to get medicated, because I do now take I believe it's sertraline for my depression, and it's a very, very small dosage, but I do take medication for my, and I'm taking it mainly for my children. Because if I wouldn't have had my kids, I probably would have just been like, whatever, it is what it is, I'll be fine, I'll deal with it how I deal with it, I'll do what I can. So in getting medicated, I don't feel like a zombie at all when I take it. I actually feel really, really good. I did this thing where I kind of took it for like 3 months, and then I stopped taking it for a month, and that was the worst month ever. Yo, that was the worst month ever. And I believe it was last month. No, it was March. So March was a really, really bad month for me. I just felt like everything was going bad, everything was going wrong, and it showed me that, you know, my medication was helping me, because I was like, yeah, it's a low dosage, but it's not working. And I wanted to see if I felt the difference in not taking it for a month, and I did. So now I take my medication faithfully, y'all. 8 o'clock every morning. Whether I work or not, the alarm go off, I'm taking my pills, and if I sleep, I'm going back to sleep after I take them. But it made me feel a lot better. Personally, I just feel like, as a black female and a single mother, we have a lot on us. Black women already go through a lot, and then you add mom on there, and then you add single mom on there, or you add carrying an entire family on your back. It's like the weight of the world is already, we're born with the weight of the world on our shoulders, and then not feeling appreciated can kind of take a toll on it too. And recently, okay, sorry y'all, recently I wrote a letter expressing my feelings to someone very important to me, and in the midst of me writing that letter, I got very emotional. I explained to the person how I felt, you know, forgotten. It always comes back to me feeling forgotten, and how, in all honesty, within the last 3 years, I have contemplated taking my life at least 3 times, and no one noticed. No one noticed when I wasn't myself. No one noticed when I kind of was just like in the room and not really engaging in conversations or anything. No one noticed when you know, kind of like my cry for help. It wasn't really a physical cry. It was more so of a silent cry, and I just feel like no one noticed. I got labeled the mean sister. I got labeled, you know, I'm really mean. Everything is just mean. She's mean, she's this. I got called the devil a lot. I get called the devil a lot. And I'm honestly not a mean person. I'm a really nice person. I've just gotten so used to people not paying attention to me that I developed a very, very strong defense mechanism to save myself the pain of, you know, eventually being forgotten again. Whew. Okay. So, I just feel like depression to a lot of people is a crutch. And to others, if it's not happening to them, they don't really take the time to understand it, and they like to throw out that people want to use mental disabilities or mental diseases as a reason to act the way they act, which is not the case. You have to take the time to understand people and get to understand people and try to learn people. And I've learned that within like my last year of meeting the people that I've met and finally opening up to one of my favorite cousins. Now, this particular cousin, if she watches this, she knows exactly who she is. She has children of her own, and she has a lot of things going on with her, within herself and within her life. But one thing I will give her is she at least takes the time once or twice a month to check on me. Not ask me how are the kids, not ask me how's work, but to ask me how am I feeling. How do I feel mentally? How do I feel physically? Recently, I've made a friend within the last year at a job that I had, and for a while I kind of didn't tell her anything either. I finally explained to her what was going on with me, because she said one day I was at work and you could tell I was really down, but she didn't know how to approach me to ask me why. So we had a conversation. I kind of explained to her and her sister, because I've gotten really close to her and her sister. They are a few years older than me, but it's now to the point where she checks in on me. Like, today is May 2nd. I just found out it's Mental Health Awareness Month, which I don't really pay attention to. Yesterday was May 1st. Mentally, yesterday, I was in the worst state ever. The worst state ever. What kept me sane for the most part was the videos I have of my children on my phone. At the end of the day, like I told the very important person to me in that letter, I've contemplated suicide 3 times within the last 3 years. I still often contemplate killing myself, and I have a vivid imagination, so I tend to imagine what life would be like for my kids without me, and it stops a lot. I can't do that to them. My kids are young, regardless of the fact my kids are young, and I'm all my kids know. So a lot of the times people who contemplate suicide, it's not because they've given up or they just kind of want some type of negative attention. It's because they feel like they have no one to talk to. Depression is so real that it kind of hurts, honestly, when you're dealing with it yourself and you feel like you have no one to talk to, regardless of who is in your circle and who is in your corner. It sometimes still feels like you have no one to talk to. Like, granted, I'm really grateful for my friend calling me today to check on me and see how I was feeling. I explained to her I feel a lot better mentally. I did pray last night. I meditated last night. I kind of just, for a while, turned my phone off and kind of just dealt with myself, which I don't really get a chance to do as a single mom. I'm always working. When I'm not working, I'm here dealing with my kids. When I'm not dealing with my kids, I now have 2 businesses that I'm running and promoting for. So I don't feel like I get enough me time, which this last week I've been really grateful for the time that I had to myself, because again, my kids are in Arizona with my dad and they've been going for a week. They'll be going for 2 more weeks. So I feel like this is the perfect me time that I've been getting, and I've been off work for the last like 3-4 days. So I've literally been invited out and been declining, and kind of just sitting here and kind of dealing with myself. A lot of my thoughts come from heartbreak. I feel like I dealt with heartbreak at a really young age. But then it wasn't really too much of a heartbreak, because the person that I feel broke my heart at such a young age is also the person who gave me the one person who loves me unconditionally, and that's Koi. I doubt he's gonna watch this, but to Koi's dad, I thank you. I thank you for everything, for the heartbreak, for taking the time when you did to kind of understand why I am the way I am, and trying to help me understand why I am the way I am. I also thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me my son, because honestly speaking, I think if I didn't have Koi, I most likely probably would have committed suicide. Yeah, I probably would have. Because before getting pregnant with Koi, I felt like I had nothing to live for. I felt like I would try my hardest to kind of do right, and it was never enough for anyone. I felt like, at one point I felt like my mom kind of didn't really, care for me. Like, I was kind of just there. And I feel like she glorified like my sister so much. Like, I'm so proud of my sister, regardless of how I felt then. I'm so proud of my sister. My sister, out of my mom's kids, is the first one to actually graduate from a university. She is graduating this month, and I'm very proud of her. But growing up, I felt like because my sister did so well in school, that no matter how hard I tried to do good in school, it just wasn't enough for my mom. And trust me, y'all, I tried my hardest. I hated school, but I knew I needed it, and especially math. I hated it so much. But I feel like I rambled in this video, but this was honestly like the best way for me to kind of get out how I feel, which is what I do a lot when I journal. It's kind of like all over the place. I've kind of been trying to figure out how to get my feelings and emotions out without rambling and feeling like I'm jumping from topic to topic. Plus, I'm also trying not to cry. I've been trying not to cry since I started this video. But I am going to end it because I don't want it to be way too long. Plus, it's a lot for me to edit. I just want to say, I want to point out to families of all races, but specifically to Black families. Talk to your children. If your child is telling you that they feel depressed, if they are telling you that they feel anxious all the time, or if they tell you that they feel anything out of normal, talk to them. Don't try to write it off as them wanting attention. Don't try to write it off as they just, you know, want to cause issues and chaos in your life, where it's not that. Talk to your children. You will not know exactly what is going on and get to the core or the root of whatever problems you're deeming that your children have if you do not talk to them. Just talk to them. Moms, dads, just talk to them. To my single moms out there who may or may not feel how I feel, you guys can always reach out to me. I've always been open since I started my channel. You guys can always reach out to me. You guys can reach out to me here. You guys can reach out to me on Instagram at Zania Shai. You guys can even email me, zaniashai@gmail.com. If you have any issues that you feel like, you know, you can't get through and you feel like I may be able to help you kind of understand it more, you guys can reach out to me. You reach out to me. If this is a video that you guys liked and, you know, feel like I should do more things like these, because there's a lot of issues that I have. Not to kind of brush it off, but I feel like I have a lot of issues and there's like a lot of things that I need to go with. Like, I'm currently on a spiritual journey, so I've been getting into like crystals and angel numbers and meditating again. That brought me back to meditating, journaling, burning sage, which is crazy because I actually have to tonight. I'm going to do a cleansing ritual for myself, because this is a new month. I should have did it yesterday, but again, I wasn't in the right headspace to do any of that, and I don't like to burn my sage or my crystals or cleanse my crystals or burn my candles when I'm not in the right space mentally, because then I feel like I'm letting in evil, I guess I want to say, or like just negative energy, and I don't want to do that. I don't know why I didn't have it on, but I did go and get the hematite ring that is supposed to break once it absorbs enough negative energy. Today is Sunday. I've had this ring since Wednesday. Me being the person that I am and knowing my energy levels and, you know, my attitude and stuff, I assumed that this ring would break by Thursday. I bought two. I'm still on the first ring and it is Sunday. So yeah, I feel like I may not have that much negative energy that I thought I had, or I don't have none at all, but I feel like there's some type of negative somewhere, and the ring is just absorbing it, and I'm just waiting to see. I remember exactly the date that I bought it because it was the date that I changed my license over, which was April 28th, and it's kind of on my wall. So trying to track that. But again, talk to your kids. Anyone dealing with depression personally, if you feel like you have no one to talk to, I always say try to kind of sit yourself in a room in the dark by yourself, cry it out. I've done a lot of crying in the last couple days. I actually did a lot of crying yesterday. In the last couple months, the last year or so. Crying to some people for certain things may not work, but in a sense or in the situation where you feel like you can't talk to anyone, cry. Just cry. You don't have to tell anyone that you sat in your room and cried. You don't have to tell anyone that you sat in your car and cried. You don't have to tell your boss if you go to the bathroom and you silently cried in the bathroom. If you feel like at any point at any given time, no matter where you are, that you need to cry out how you feel, cry. Those are your emotions. That's your way of releasing, because crying actually does release things. We may not notice it and we may not see it, but crying can release a lot. And you can feel like you have the weight of the universe on your shoulders, and the moment you cry, be it 5 seconds, 5 minutes, or 5 hours, you may feel a lot better when you're done. I strongly suggest crying. I strongly suggest writing things down. I strongly suggest doing video kind of diaries. Like at one point I felt like I couldn't talk to nobody, so I would kind of literally, before I got my camera, pick up my phone and kind of just like vlog my feelings, but I never posted them. I would say what I had to say, get everything out, cried if I had to, and then I wouldn't watch it back. I would just delete it. That has helped me a lot too. But I did a lot of that because in the mind frame that I was in, wanting to build up my channel, I was like, okay, I'm gonna post this and I'm gonna record this and I'm gonna post it. But I guess because it was a release for me, it never got to the point where I felt the urge to edit any of it or even keep any of it. So yeah, however you feel you can release whatever it is that you need to release, I strongly suggest you do it. Strongly suggest you do it. It may be a part 2 to this because I feel like as I go through the spiritual journey and trying to get better acquainted with myself and my own energy, I feel like this would be a nice journey to kind of share. So I'm going to attempt to share this journey with you guys, because I do say I want to do this and do that for my channel and forget. But being as though I have my camera now, I feel like I won't, and I do have a better way to edit. So I feel like this kind of can be done. So yeah, if you guys like this video, even though I feel like I was all over the place, I may edit some out, I may not edit some out, I may literally just post this as unedited as possible to kind of give the raw, because I feel like this is something that people need to see and it really shouldn't be edited. So I'm probably not gonna edit any of this footage, honestly. We'll see. Once I look back on it, we'll see. But again, if you like this video, if you like the content of this video, and you like the idea of me kind of sharing my spiritual journey with you guys, I'm also going to try to share my weight loss journey with you guys. Give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with a friend. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, babies.